Hey, yo, what is up, everybody? My name is Coach Chad. I'm the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy, and we have now helped over 2,000 personal trainers, health coaches, nutrition coaches scale to multiple 6 and 7-figure companies, which is insane to think about since we started this venture in 2020. I mean, I've been in the online fitness coaching space since 2015. NLCA started in 2020. The previous 5 years before that, I owned my own online fitness coaching company. But man, NLCA has really taken off in the best of ways, and I couldn't be happier to be a part of it. So let's dive into today's topic. Today, what we're going to be talking about is resigns. All right, and before you say, I don't want to talk about resigns, this is why it's so freaking important. All right, everybody's always worried about lead generation and getting their next sale and improving their closing skills. Well, you want to know one of the best ways to not have to worry so much about getting in more leads and closing more deals. It's retention. It's retaining your clients. It's keeping your clients for a long period of time. Because if your retention is trash and people are churning and burning and leaving your company, you're going to be hyper concerned about lead generation and sales, when in actuality you should really be concerned about the resigns. All right, so one of the fastest ways to grow your business, and there's actually really only two ways to grow your business. One is increase leads and sales, and the other way is to increase lifetime value of the client, of how much the client pays you over the time that they are with you. Now, one of the best ways to improve lifetime value, which there are 5 ways to improve lifetime value, but one of the best ways to improve lifetime value is to get people to re-sign. All right, so let's go into a little bit of the metrics behind. You can see my dog. I swear to God, this is probably going to happen all podcasts, but she is standing at the door right now and she wants to go out into the living room, and then I'm going to let her out into the living room and she's going to want to come back in here, and it's going to be this whole damn ass thing. All right, well, I'm going to try not to get distracted. Anyways, the KPI, the key performance indicator for resigns, is, I would say, a bare minimum of 40%. Okay, if you are below 40% with your resigns, it is probably an area of concern. It is probably something that should get more of your time and attention. If it is above 40%, you are doing good. It probably doesn't need that much of your attention. Yes, incrementally you can improve it, but you probably can focus your attention in other areas that are performing worse. Here she goes. She's scratching at the door. Guarantee I let her out. Watch what happens. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get to see this in flesh. All right, you want to go out? You have to stay out. I'm in the middle of recording. Okay, she is out. She is gone. All right, so getting back to what I was saying, 40%. If you're above 40% or at 40%, probably not an area of focus. If you are below 40%, it is probably an area of focus. Now, how do you figure out what percentage you are? Okay, so pick the time domain. You could do it on a monthly basis. You could do it, honestly, you could do it on any basis, but the 3 bases rather that I would measure it on is on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and a yearly basis. Okay. And it's a very simple math equation. What you do is you take the number of people that re-signed within that given time frame, the month, the quarter, the year, and you divide it by how many people were up for re-sign. Okay. So let's say it's a quarter. Let's say you re-signed 100 people in a quarter. Let's say that you had 300 people that were up for re-sign. That means that your re-sign percentage was 33%, right? So very simple math equation to figure out. The time domains, once again, that I would pay attention to are monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Anything less than that, it's too small of a time frame to really, give a shit, for the lack of a better term. Okay, so I have those are my first 2 points. I have a bunch of points here. I'm going to kind of have some discussion points. I'm going to give some tips on how to improve resigns, but let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so the very first thing that I would say is important to improving your resigns is something called future pacing. And what future pacing is you're having a conversation with an individual, and you're having the conversation about what is to happen in the future, or what they should care about in the future. Where a lot of people go wrong in their resign process is they never actually talk about what's next. So people come to the end of their 3-month term, their 6-month term, their year-long term, and they already in their mind have said, well, I'm done. There's nothing after this. You know, I've done the thing. I've done the 3 months. I've done the 6 months. I've done the 12 months. This is one of the biggest mistakes that coaches are making, is they are not future pacing. They are not setting a goal for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, for the next 12 months. So when their clients are coming to the end of their term, they've already mentally checked out because there's nothing next for them. The coach never created something next for them. So one of the simplest things that you could do to improve your resign rate is have a conversation. I would say, I mean, heck, you can even start having the conversation when the person is halfway through the program or 2 months out from their end. I would say you definitely for sure want to start having these conversations 4 weeks prior to their endpoint. But ideally, I would say anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks is the sweet spot. What this conversation looks like is you'll say, hey, I know we're XYZ through the program. We're already 8 weeks through the program. I know we have 6 weeks left. And I know we've already accomplished XYZ. I just want to have a quick conversation about goal setting for the next 6 months, for the next year, for the next 3 months. And then you say, all right, so we've already lost 10 pounds. I know your goal is to lose 20. I think we can lose the next 10 pounds in the next 2 months. But then after that, what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish? Oh, wow. All right, cool. You want to gain 10 pounds of muscle? Awesome. What do you think is your biggest challenge to gaining 10 pounds of muscle? Oh, wow. You don't know, you don't really know how to do compound lifts. You don't really know how to like work out in the gym. Awesome. Cool. So what we'll focus on in the next 6 months is exactly that. Let's dial in on losing these next 10 pounds. Then from there, we can focus on gaining your 10 pounds of muscle, right? That would be an example of what that conversation would look like. That needs to happen 8 to 6 weeks out. So when they come to the end of the program, they already have a goal and they already have a challenge that they need to overcome. All right. So that's future pacing. All right. The next important thing to consider here to improve your resign process is who is actually going to execute the resign. Is one of your VAs going to reach out and say, hey, your length of term is up, you got to resign? Is the person who originally took the sales call, is that person going to do the resigns, or is it going to be the coach? All right. And if you don't have any of those team members, meaning you don't have a VA, you don't have a coach, you don't have an assistant coach, you don't have a closer, then it's going to be you, and you have your answer, and that's totally fine. You're probably the best person for the job anyways. But if you do have a team, it's really important to consider who is actually executing the resign. Is it the admin reaching out saying that your length of term is up? I would say no. The admin didn't build a relationship with them over the past X amount of time. Is it the closer, the person who originally took the sales call? I would also say no, because the only aspect of the relationship they have is they took the initial call, they took money from that person, and then they didn't talk to them for an extended period of time. And now they're going to all of a sudden say, hey, I want your money again. Probably not the best look. The best look is going to be that the coach is the one who's executing the resign, because the coach is the one who they have the emotional connection with, who they've worked so hard with over the past 3, 6, 12 months to accomplish the goal. So I would say the coach should definitely be the person that is doing the resign. And if you are a solopreneur, meaning you are all the roles in your company, then it should just be you, because who else is going to do it? All right. So that's point number 4. Point number 5 is how the resigns are being done. All right. So we talked about future pacing. We talked about who is executing the resigns. Now we're going to talk about how the resigns are actually being executed. Okay. So there's really 2 ways that I've seen coaches do it. They're either going to do it over voice memo. A lot of online coaching programs, the check-ins are done on voice memo, usually on WhatsApp. So some coaching programs, they'll do the resign literally on voice memo. They're like, hey, your length of term is up. Here are your options. Do you want to move forward? Right. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to schedule an exit call where the coach and the prospect get on a call. Once again, they reconvene on what went well in the program, the goals, the challenges, what they want to accomplish next, and then what their options are to resign. In a perfect world, my preference would be that you would get on a call. And the reason that my preference is that you would get on a call is when you're on a call, you have a lot more control over the sales situation. If I'm just sending a voice memo, which is essentially the same as sending an email or a text, the ball is in their court, and they could very simply ghost, or never reply or not acknowledge it. But when you're on a call, there's nowhere they can go unless they hang up on you. They have to be confronted with making the decision right then and there, right? Or in most part, right then and there. Sometimes they'll ask to think about it, but in most cases, they will give you an answer right on the spot. So in a perfect world, I would say do it on a call. Now, what are some of the downsides of doing it on a call? Some of the downsides are some of the reasons why people don't do it on a call and they do it on voice memo is if they're having the assistant coach do it, which was the suggestion that I made, that person has a crap ton of people on their roster. Usually most assistant coaches have about 50 to 80. Some assistant coaches even have 100 people on their roster. So that would be a lot of calls. You probably would have to give them some additional commission or compensation for taking those calls. Some assistant coaches are totally fine with that. Some assistant coaches absolutely hate calls and didn't get into this to get on a bunch of calls. So that would be one potential downside, is it could have a negative impact on your staff member. And that would be the benefit of doing it on voice memo, is it wouldn't take up as much time. You probably wouldn't have to pay them any extra commission because sending a voice memo is super easy. The downside of the voice memo is my intuition would tell me that the closing rate would be much, much lower. If it was my choice, if it was my business, I would have my assistant coaches doing the calls and not the voice memos. Okay, so that's the next thing you have to consider. Who is doing the resign, and then how is the resign being done? Okay, so the next thing I have written down here is surveys. All right, surveys are imperative for improving your resign process. One of, if not probably the biggest aspect of somebody wanting to resign with you is the fact that they had an amazing experience. They feel super connected to their coach. They feel very connected to the mission and the community, and they couldn't even think of living without being inside your program. Now, the only way to continue to improve your product and improve your program is to conduct surveys to get information about what sucks about your program so that you unemotionally and unattached can decide, hey, they said this thing sucks. We should probably improve this thing. Great, I will improve this thing, right? Very simple. Cool. So the surveys that we do in order to continue to improve NLCA is we do a survey 14 days into the program. And the reason we do a survey 14 days into the program is to get information around how their onboarding went. Right? That's one aspect of your overall program, is the onboarding process. So 14 days in, we will ask them how their onboarding experience went. We will get information on their onboarding experience. That allows us to improve one aspect of the program. Okay, the next survey that we do is a halfway survey. So halfway through the program, they will be asked to fill out a survey. This will give us context on what their experience has been so far in the actual program, in the thick of it, right? In the thick of going through our course, in the thick of attending our one-to-one calls, in the thick of attending our group calls. They will give us a rating, and they will give us information on how things are going. The last one is the end of the program. So the full experience, how would they rate the full experience? What do they like? What would they wish is different? If they were the CEO, what would they add to the program to make it better? Oh, getting a phone call. Hold on one sec. I'm going to pause this. All right, I apologize about that. I ordered Uber Eats Chick-fil-A for breakfast, and the individual called me to let me know that he couldn't make it up to my apartment, which is totally okay. Okay, so we're talking about surveys. So then we have the end of the program survey, which allows them to recap their whole entire experience. All right. The last thing that we want to get, the last information that we want to get on surveys is information about our specific coaches. So all of our surveys will have a ranking on the specific coach. It will also have information on why they ranked the coach a specific way. And this is very, 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 very crucial, because if you have assistant coaches, it's no longer you connecting with the students, it's your assistant coach connecting with the students. So you're going to want to get a ranking on how their experience is with that coach and why they gave that person the ranking that they did. Very important part of if they're going to resign is if they feel connected to their coach, if they feel like they like their coach, if they feel like they like the experience that the coach is providing. All right. So the next way to improve your resigns is to make sure that you have ample surveys, are getting ample information about the program, and you unattached, not emotionally, very important that I say that, are making changes based on what people are saying. Okay, so the next thing to consider here with resigns is, should you do a subscription model or should you do a contract model? So let me explain both. So a subscription model would be somebody signs up for you for a certain length of term, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And instead of re-signing them for another length of term, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, it just automatically rolls over into a month-to-month subscription that is cancel anytime. That's an option. All right. Another option is that you can re-sign them into another length of term, right? So, they come to their end of their original length of term, and then you pitch them another length of term, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you get them locked into a contract. Let's kind of go back and forth between each, the pros and cons. I just want to give you guys the information so that you guys can make a decision here. I'm not going to say what's better or what's not better. So the benefits of a contract is you get them locked in for a contract. They're with you for another guaranteed 3, 6, or 12 months. And that's a guaranteed amount of money that you're going to make. Typically, this is going to be another, if you're doing 3 months, probably another $1,200. If this is another 6 months, probably another $2,400. If you're going to do something for a year, it's probably $3,000 or more that you're contracted in, that you're guaranteed in. Now, the subscription model, whoops, it's getting somebody's trying to get into the Zoom room here. The subscription model, the pros of that is it rolls over, it's automatic. You don't have to have the conversation. You don't have to have the resign call. You don't have to have the exit call. You don't have to send them a voice memo. It just automatically rolls in so that they don't question, well, do I want to resign? Do I not want to resign? It just automatically rolls over, and then they just continue to go until they choose to cancel. So that would be the benefit of the subscription model. Now, the one thing to consider, and this is how you can make the decision, well, do I want to do the contract model or the subscription model, is to test. And if you're really truly back and forth, like you don't sway one way or another, and you're kind of like, both sound good, I'm not sure which one to do, I would test 6 months of doing the subscription model and seeing how long an individual stays with you. What's the length of term? Do people typically cancel right away and don't even roll over into subscription? Do people typically stay a month, 2 months, 3 months? Do people typically stay six months and you had no cancellations, right? I would collect this data. What is the lifetime value? What is the length of term that one actually commits to the subscription? That would be a piece of data that I would test. And then I would do an A/B test. So the B test would be the contract model. All right. How many individuals are actually re-signing for a contract? Is it over 40%? Is it under 40%? What's the data telling you? And if the data is overwhelming that you're getting, 50% of people to re-sign in a contract, then you should probably go the contract model. If it's overwhelming in the other way, that people are signing up for the subscription and they're staying for like 3 months or more, then it's probably overwhelming that you should just do the subscription model. So I would test these two and figure out which one is best for your clientele. Okay, number 8 is Ascension programs. All right, so this is another way that you can improve your resigns. So like I mentioned before, and how I started off the video and the call, is that a lot of people won't resign because they don't feel like they have another goal or the next thing to accomplish. One of the ways to solve that, in addition to future pacing, is to have another program that is after your current program that solves a different problem. The best example I can give is, let's say you have a 3-month program. The 3-month program is designed to help them reach their first goal. And let's say that your clientele needs to lose like 10 to 15 pounds, right? Very achievable to do in a 3-month span. But then the next problem that would happen after they've lost the 10 to 15 pounds in the 90 days, in the 3 months, is they now need to learn how to keep it off. So if you had an Ascension program, which means the initial program is just, the only purpose is for them to reach their goal, and then you had a program that they had to ascend into, meaning it's an upper level program, and that program was tied around solving their next logical problem, which in this scenario would be sustainability, and you called it your sustainability program, it gives reason to resign, right? Oh, I don't know how to keep this off. I've never been successful at keeping this off. Shit, okay, cool. I guess I need to ascend into this sustainability program that is 12 months long. All right, so that would be another way for you to improve your resigns, is to have an Ascension program, a program where you basically section them out. Program 1 solves one problem. Program 1 also tends to create another problem, and program 2 solves that other problem. Here's another example. So for our business coaching program, we have what's called our apprenticeship program, which teaches them the basics of growing their business. But then they usually end that program making about $10,000 a month, and now they need to hire, and they have no clue how to hire. So then we have another program called our Master Accelerator program that teaches them how to make their first 2 hires. And then usually by the end of that program, they're making about $20,000 a month. They have their first 2 hires, but now they need to learn how to make more hires. Then we have what's called our mastery program that solves that problem, right? So that's an example of an ascension ladder. You have one problem, you have one program that solves a problem, but then creates another, and then vice versa all the way up the ladder. Cool. All right, I got 2 more points, so bear with me. Okay, so the next question you would want to answer is, do you want to discount for resigns or not? Once again, I'm going to give you the pros and cons. I'll let you make a decision. Some people think it's best to give somebody a slight discount if they choose to resign with you, and it's almost like a loyalty thing, right? Like, oh, you're resigning with me, you're loyal. Let me give you this, cash incentive in order to continue to be loyal with me. Very logical, right? You could definitely see why that could be a benefit. People would definitely buy into that. It would definitely increase resigns. Now, the con to that is if you have a team where you're paying assistant coaches, DMers, closers, you're paying for ads, you can't really cut into the margin that much, right? The fitness coaching space, the margins already tend to be low, especially when you start building out this team. When I say low, it's like they're closer to 50% as you start building out a team, which obviously isn't low, but you definitely don't want it to dip below 50%. This incentivization of, that's not a word. I guess it is a word. I don't know. Fuck it. Incentivizing people to resign by giving them a discount only further cuts into the margin that's already relatively close to 50%. And you kind of can't really get away with that. So that's the pros and cons. If you have a big team, I wouldn't recommend doing discounts for your resigns. If you're a 1-person operation, you plan on forever being a 1-person operation, that could be a very viable option to increase your resign percentage. All right, the last one is probably the most imperative. I think everybody should do this, is you should have a group coaching offer or an alumni program. All right. So some people just don't truly need one-to-one coaching after they've been with you for 6, 12 months, sometimes even 3 months. They really, truly only needed that service for that length of term. However, they would still pay you for continued programming, maybe some group support. And that's where you should have a group coaching offer where you could downsell these people from your one-to-one service into the group coaching offer. Now they stay in your community. And who's to say that later on, maybe they'll want one-to-one call or one-to-one support again. You can upsell them back into the one-to-one support. So not having a group coaching program that you can downsell people to in the resign is a massive, massive mistake. Now, 1, the cost is significantly less, but 2, like I said before, some people just don't truly need one-to-one coaching anymore. However, they would still love somebody to provide them with programming and have some sense of community. And that's where the group coaching offer can come in. So that is one very, very simple way to increase your resign percentage. All right, y'all, that is it. Those are the ways to improve resigns. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this really allowed you to view your business in a different way. Like I said, a lot of people just talk about lead generation. They talk about sales. They talk about marketing. But really at the end of the day, you don't have to increase your lead gen as much if your resign is chef's kiss. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys in the next one. And until then, I was gonna do a special sign off. We have a very special sign off in NLCA, but I think I'll pass. Fuck it, I'll do it. This is what we do at the end of every call. We go health and we flex. We go wealth and we do the little Johnny Manziel money thing, and then we go prosperity and we do the little like SpongeBob imagination rainbow creation thing. If you're listening on the podcast, you're probably like, Chad, what the fuck are you doing? If you're watching on the YouTube, you got to see that embarrassing moment. But anyways, appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.